Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Sunday, April 12th, 2026. We're talking a big new Alibaba data center running on 10,000 homegrown chips, NVIDIA-backed momentum for RISC-V at SiFive, and a telecom-focused push for sovereign inference. I've got Orion with me. Ready?
Ready, let's do it.
First up, Alibaba and compute independence. What happened?
Tech Republic reported on April 10th that Alibaba opened a new AI data center in Shaoguan, powered by 10,000 domestically produced Zhenwu AI chips. Alibaba frames it as a response to United States export restrictions and as a step towards self-reliant compute for large-scale generative AI workloads in its cloud.
Are they positioning this as capacity or as a political signal?
Both. Capacity-wise, 10,000 chips is real infrastructure, enough to host serious training and inference fleets. But the message is also clear. We can scale without foreign supply. Nothing says sovereignty like a server room that sounds like a jet engine.
What should we watch for? Performance, cost, or ecosystem lock-in?
Ecosystem. If Zhenwu chips come with a stable compiler stack, libraries, and cloud primitives, developers stick around. If the software is brittle, the hardware becomes a fancy space heater. The next signal is whether Alibaba exposes this compute broadly through Alibaba Cloud or keeps it mostly internal.
Staying on chips, SiFive just raised a big round. What are the facts?
Analytics Insight reported on April 12th that SiFive raised $400 million, valuing the company around $3.65 billion, with NVIDIA among the backers. SiFive says the capital goes towards scaling its RISC-V designs aimed at AI, data center, and accelerator markets.
For listeners who don't live in chip land, what is SiFive and why RISC-V?
SiFive designs CPU cores and system-on-chip IP, largely based on RISC-V, which is an open instruction set architecture. The pitch is flexibility and vendor independence. Companies can customize silicon without being locked into a single proprietary ISA roadmap.
And NVIDIA backing them, does that mean anything concrete?
It signals strategic optionality. NVIDIA dominates accelerators, but the host side of the system, CPU control planes, data movement, scheduling, matters more as clusters scale. RISC-V can be tuned for those workloads, and NVIDIA investing suggests it's hedging toward more modular, customizable data center stacks.
So is this a real threat to incumbent CPU architectures or still early?
Still early at the top end, but momentum is real. The near term is specialized roles, management processors, security islands, or tightly coupled CPU plus NPU designs. If the software ecosystem keeps improving, that's when incumbents start feeling it in volume markets.
Now to telecom and sovereign AI, Rebellion's K-Telecom and ARM, what's the partnership?
Morningstar, citing a Business Wire release on April 10th, says Rebellions is teaming up with Telecom and ARM to develop scalable AI inference infrastructure aimed at sovereign AI and telecom deployments. It centers on Rebellion's RebelCard module using the Rebel 100 semiconductor, integrating 4 NPU chiplets.
When they say sovereign, what's the practical meaning in a telco setting?
Domestically controllable stacks, hardware supply, firmware, and deployment choices that an operator or government can audit and govern. In telco, you also care about predictable latency, power envelopes, and integration with network functions, so sovereign is part security story, part reliability story.
Where does ARM fit in? CPU design, software enablement, both?
Both. ARM architectures are common in edge and telecom equipment, and ARM's ecosystem helps with toolchains and system integration. If you pair ARM-based hosts with NPU modules like RebelCard, you can build a more cohesive inference appliance instead of bolting accelerators onto generic servers.
Is this mainly about national policy or is there a performance angle too?
Performance per watt is the quiet driver. Telcos have tight power and cooling constraints. A purpose-built inference module can be cheaper to run than general-purpose GPU setups for steady, repeatable workloads. Think translation, summarization, call center copilots, and network analytics close to where the data lives.
Let's hit a few fast movers across policy, healthcare, and startups. What's jumping out?
Transparency Coalition reported on April 10th that multiple U.S. states are moving to ban or tightly regulate therapy chatbots. Maine has a ban heading to the governor, and Missouri is advancing similar language. Also on April 10th, KFF Health News says insurers and parts of Medicare are using AI for coverage decisions, with lawsuits alleging wrongful denials.
On that insurance piece, are regulators stepping in, or is it still mostly courts and headlines?
KFF notes Stanford research warning that models trained on denial-heavy data can amplify bad decisions, and it also reports the Trump administration is testing AI for Medicare prior authorization while seeking to preempt state AI rules. So you've got a policy tug of war while patients are already feeling the automation.
And in the startup world, any fundraise is worth knowing quickly, and what do they actually do?
AI Market Watch reported Elorian raised $55 million seed at a $300 million valuation on April 11th. Visual reasoning models for robotics and industry, with NVIDIA and Menlo involved. AI Market Watch also reported on April 10th GitButler raised $17 million. Series A, led by Andreessen Horowitz, building AI-native version control for multi-agent coding workflows.
One more, anything notable on the make-your-own chips trend and on labeling AI in ads?
The Next Web reported on April 10th that Anthropic is exploring proprietary AI chips as compute needs and revenue scale. And Control plus AI plus Reg wrote on April 10th that ad rules are being proposed to clearly disclose AI-generated characters. Labels like, "This content includes a fictional character created with AI." The internet may finally need a nutrition label.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Sunday, April 12th, 2026. Share it with someone who'd find it useful. See you next time.